All right, let me bring in Senator John Barrasso, who's a Republican from Wyoming. And Richard, thank you for that. Senator Barrasso, we've been talking about this debt ceiling and the president's vote before to not to raise it, and he says now that was a mistake. And Jay Carney yesterday is warning people that if we hit it, it could be Armageddon-like in terms of consequences. How concerned are you about the consequences of hitting that debt ceiling?
Well, I think that if you're going to raise a debt ceiling, you better do something very, very serious and significant about our economy. I agree with the president in his comments when he was a senator that said it showed a lack of leadership, actually a failure of leadership. And that was when they were trying to raise it from $9 trillion. Now we're at $14 trillion. We can't continue to jeopardize our security, our national security, and our financial security by borrowing more and more money, and so much of it from foreign countries, specifically China.
All right.
So I want to get the spending under control. That's the problem, Contessa.
All right, so let's look at, for instance, at Congressman Paul Ryan of Wisconsin, also a Republican. His budget plan, the proposal here, would cut spending by $5.8 trillion over the next 10 years. It would cut corporate and personal taxes to a top rate of 25%. It would privatize Medicare. It would turn Medicaid into limited block grant to the states. I mean, you're, Senator, a doctor. This whole issue of taking the cuts to Medicare at a time when there are big corporate tax cuts that they're able to get away scot-free without paying taxes. Is this really, I mean, really we have to stick it to poor people?
Well, you know that Medicaid is a broken system. There's no real success in trying to throw more money at a failed system. So I like the idea of taking that to the states with block grants. Medicare, we know that the president's health care law cut $500 billion from our seniors on Medicare, not to save Medicare, but to start a whole new government program. But the fundamentals are that we're at $14 trillion in debt. We owe more and more to foreign countries, and we need to make sure that we pass on to the next generation, to our kids and grandkids, a country without this kind of a debt. It's irresponsible. We need to get the spending under control, and with keeping the government open as we did last week, and you and I talked about that on Friday, I thought that was the responsible thing to do. We need to work for a solution that limits the amount of spending. We don't need more revenue. The American people aren't worried that they're taxed too little. It's that we spend too much. And that's what I'm going to continue to talk about, Contessa. The president, I know, has a speech, a national speech tomorrow. I want to make sure that there's actually news instead of just the old retreaded approach, something that's recycled. We need to have a new vision. The president's budget just doubles the national debt over the next 10 years. That was an irresponsible budget, and I'm glad to see. I hope the president says that he also regrets the budget that he submitted earlier this year, because that was nothing helpful to the American people. Even The Economist magazine called it dishonest.
We will watch that speech tomorrow. We'll find out the nitty-gritty details of what the president's proposing. But again, significant cuts are expected.